A trip to India leads off today's edition of CNN 10. I'm your anchor, Carl Azuz. It's great to have you watching. Monday was the first time that U.S. President Donald Trump traveled to the world's largest democracy. More than 1.3 billion people live in India. It's the second most populated country on the planet behind China. And it's where the American leader received a large and warm welcome when he spoke at the world's biggest cricket stadium in the Indian city of Ahmedabad.
The First Lady and I have just traveled 8,000 miles around the globe to deliver a message to every citizen across this nation. America loves India, America respects India, and America will always be faithful and loyal friends to the Indian people.
President Trump was only scheduled to stay in India one night, and the real work, according to analysts, gets going on Tuesday when he and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi are expected to discuss a new trade agreement. A $3 billion deal involving military equipment, including India's purchase of American helicopters, was announced on Monday. But a bigger trade deal between the two countries could be more challenging, as within the last year they've placed or threatened additional taxes on one another's goods. President Trump previously accused India of unfairly shutting out American businesses. And though he said on Monday that major trade agreements were on the horizon, they were in the early stages. Still, the two leaders have had nothing but praise for one another in their public comments, and one of the larger-than-life pictures of them posted around Ahmedabad says, "Two dynamic personalities, one momentous occasion," something that underscores the important and complex relationship between their countries.
The United States and India. One is the world's oldest democracy, the latter is the biggest. Formal ties between the two countries date back to India's independence in 1947. They've survived the ups and downs of the Cold War era and estrangement over India's nuclear tests in 1974 and 1998. Relations have since warmed with geopolitical and economic cooperation growing.
Most of that convergence has really been in the security and strategic relationship. So they went from being very disenchanted with each other at the end of the Cold War and quibbling over nuclear issues and India, Pakistan, and Kashmir until the late 90s, to now actually effectively cooperating very closely on maritime security, on internet governance, on a whole range of strategic issues.
Both nations are key global players and both are now led by populist leaders. US President Donald Trump has reshaped the US political landscape, while Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who heads the Bharatiya Janata Party, propagates a hardline Hindu nationalist agenda known as Hindutva. Many of the policies spearheaded by both Trump and Modi are geared towards protectionism. National security is a key area for both leaders. And when it comes to the economy, their respective Make in India and America First campaigns employ a similar nationalist stance. The ties between India and the US remain important on several levels, including defense and security.
If you look on the business side, if you look on the strategic side, if you look on the people-to-people relationship, all of these areas, I think both countries need each other a lot more than I think sometimes it seems apparent.
10-second trivia. Which of these island chains actually belongs to Spain, though it's geographically closer to Africa? Canary Islands, Azores, Falkland Islands, or Cape Verde? It's off the southwest coast of Morocco that you'll find the Canary Islands of Spain. Southwestern Morocco and Western Sahara, and it's from the Sahara Desert that winds known as La Calima recently lifted tremendous amounts of dust and sand and carried them west across hundreds of miles of ocean to the Canary Islands. The Spanish archipelago is a popular vacation destination for European travelers, and many were stuck there over the weekend, in some cases for days longer than they wanted, with worse weather than they wanted. Planes couldn't take off or land in the islands until the storm passed, and outdoor sports events were canceled too because the air quality was so bad. This isn't the first time that La Calima has scattered dust over the Canary Islands, but a government official said it was the worst storm of its kind in decades. It also had bad timing. It came during carnival celebrations, so a lot of hotels were booked with people who were also stuck indoors. Flights started getting off the ground again on Monday morning when the air quality improved. In a very different environment, people known as mushers are gearing up for this year's Iditarod. It's also called the Last Great Race. It involves teams of sled dogs making their way from Anchorage to Nome, Alaska, and it commemorates historic transportation routes across America's last frontier. The Iditarod starts in 11 days. It can last as long as 2 weeks and costs thousands of dollars to run. But for something that's much lower key and less dangerous, you can take a 3-hour dog sledding excursion in British Columbia, Canada. Costs a little over $450, and you gotta love the cold.
Dog sledding to me, and from my experience, is that it tends to be a bucket list activity. You know, you grow up, you watch the movie Balto, and then that just plants a little seed in your head.
We are in Whistler. We are about to go dog sledding on an epic adventure. I'm so excited. I've never done anything like this before. It's really cold, we're bundled up, but the energy's got me excited. I can't wait to meet them. They're about to come out.
That's my good boy, Dasher. Come on, dogs.
Hi.
We're Trappers Run Dog Sledding, and we take racing dogs and sled dogs that aren't being used in their current homes, and we rehome them and give them a lighter workload, and we try to make them affectionate at the same time. Because at the end of their working careers, which is usually around 8 or 9 years old, that's when we're going to adopt them out and try and find a home for them so that they can enjoy the couch life. If the dog doesn't get adopted, well, then it just gets free time.
You're a good girl.
One of the things that I truly love about this activity is that it's an activity for anybody. It can be as adventurous an activity as you want it to be. If you'd like to sit in the dog sled, wrapped up in blankets for the whole experience, that's fantastic. You're on holiday, you deserve it. If you'd like to get hands-on, help harnessing, help yoking, even do a little bit of mushing, we can facilitate that as well.
That wasn't so hard. I feel like a pro already. Ready? Hey!
Yeah! So you can expect to drive the dog sled, get cared for by your guide, and you can also expect to be very hands-on with the dogs. So if you want to practice harnessing, if you want to learn the dog's history, their lineage, we're very happy to inform you. Also, people are going to get cold, get snowy, and just get out of their comfort zone a little bit.
For 10 out of 10, ouch. This is not the face of someone who's having fun, but he is setting a Guinness World Record. George Hood is a former U.S. Marine, and for the last 18 months, he's been training to set a new high bar for planking. He says this training involved hundreds of push-ups, thousands of sit-ups, and hundreds of curls every day. And when the time came to plank for the record, the 62-year-old did that for 8 hours, 15 minutes, and 15 seconds, which made his accomplishment absolute. This took more than doing the bare abdominimum. You gotta figure how much pain you can stomach, you gotta elbow your way to the top, you gotta set your mind on abdomination, and to pass the time, you just let your thoughts go plank. I'm Carl Azuz, flexing puns for CNN 10. Shout out to Robert Gray Middle School. It's in Portland, Oregon. They did the only thing you can do to get mentioned on our show. Subscribe and leave a comment on our official YouTube channel. Maybe you're next.